Hi guys, in this video we're going to make Sally Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'm starting off with a little gravestone that I've already made, and I've pre-dyed some modelling paste in a pale blue. This one's a Leped modelling paste. I'm not sure if I've pronounced it right, but you can find a link to it in my description below the video. So I'm starting with some legs, and I've rolled a teardrop shape, and then we've dinted in the middle to create a knee. Just give it a little bit of a bend, and we're just going to stick that to the top of our gravestone. And then I'm going to roll a small teardrop in black, and we're just going to try and push this onto the bottom of her leg. And then we want a slim strip of black that we're just going to glue around her ankle. And I'm just going to draw in with a little Dresden tool or veining tool some lines for the stitches. We're going to make the other leg. So the same way, start with the teardrop, we'll dint in at the back of the knee. And let's bend that, measure it against your other leg so you know they're about the same size. Once you're happy with the size, we can put in the little stitching lines. And I'm not too worried about it being neat at the top of the leg because that's going to be covered. I'm going to add a little teardrop of black again to the bottom of the leg and a strip of black. So the same as we did with the first leg, only this time I'm putting it on before we stick it on. Then that can go on there. So have a play around with how you want them positioned. I'm going to have it bent upwards slightly. So we're going to stick it on with edible glue. And then if you need to trim any bits off that look a bit bigger, we'll just slice those off with the knife. So I've cut off any extra parts around the tops of the legs that look quite big, and then I'm just going to use that bit of cut off to push between the legs so that we get a rounded shape at the back where the bum would be. This time I've dyed some modelling paste in a turquoise colour for her dress, roll it out thin, and we're going to place this onto her legs. I'm just going to wrap it round to the length I want it to be, and then I'm just going to trim a little bit with the knife at the back. Now I haven't cut it very neatly, so do spend a little bit of time if you don't cut it neatly, pressing it down, pushing it under just to neaten it all up. Just pushing underneath with my fingers and with the Dresden tool. I'm just going to add a little bit more now to the top of like a hip area, just to give it a little bit more height where her waist will start from. I'm just going to try and blend that in using my finger and the modelling tool. I'm levelling off that bit you see so that it's a nice flat surface for us to stick the body on. Now for the body I've dyed some purple and yellow, and I'm just going to cut them so each has got a straight line on, and I'm going to push them together for the top of her outfit. When we push them together, you want to press them in a little bit at the waist, leave them a little bit bigger where our bust is going to go. I'm going to cut a V out of the top, so above where the boobs are going to be, and I'll trim a little bit extra off each shoulder so it's not too long. I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom just under the waist, and then we can push that on to the little flat bit that we've created like on her hips. Just check it fits okay. I'm just using a cocktail stick now to push down through her body and into like her skirt, just to make sure they're properly attached. If you want, you can use spaghetti. And now we're going to create some black patches of fabric for patterning on the dress, and also the same in yellow. And have a look at a picture while you're making her so you know whereabouts to put all the patches. Got some purple left, or sort of more a magenta colour from her top. Put this on in strips. I'm going to try and push it together, and then I can trim any extra off the bottom edge. Give her a little yellow patch. Then I'm going to trim some triangles into that so that it looks a little bit scruffier around the edges. Let's put some stitching lines in now between each of those patches that you've put on. I'm going quite deep so that you can see them like that. So she's starting to take shape a little bit more now. I'm going to give her her arm, so I've got a long thin piece. I'm going to roll in a little bit for her wrist. I'm going to cut out a small triangle at one side of her hand to create a finger or a mitten-like hand. I'm going to cut off some extra off the top where it's a little bit long. Have a look at the length compared to her body. I want it so her hand just comes past her bum. Once it's the right length, you can put in an elbow. So I'm just rolling it a little bit thinner where the elbow is and then bending it slightly. I'm going to push that onto her shoulder, and then you can play around with what position you want to put that hand in. So maybe on her knee or even next to her on the gravestone. And then we can put some more stitching lines in, the same as we did on the legs, this time on the arms. So just repeat exactly the same for your second arm. Again, have a play around with what positioning you want to put it in. Depending on what modelling paste you're using will depend on how quickly it dries. You might find if it's drying quite quick that you can't move the arm around too much before it starts cracking. So this time we want a little bit of blue, and we're going to pinch a long thin bit which will become the neck, and then out of the bigger bit at the bottom we're just going to cut like a triangle that will hopefully fit into her neckline. Now this might be too big, let's see. Oh, actually that fits. I was expecting it to be a little bit big. Slightly on the small size, but what we'll do is we'll push the body in towards that bit of neck that we've put on, And I'm just going to push another cocktail stick through the neck into the body. Again, don't forget, you don't have to use cocktail sticks, you can use a piece of spaghetti if you prefer. Then let's get in some more little stitch lines for her. And what we're going to do now is create a sleeve. So on a piece, a curve on the edge, we'll cut that off so we've got not quite a semicircle, but almost semicircle shape. And we're going to just cut some bits out of one edge so it looks like a scruffy sleeve. Stick that onto the shoulder. And then we'll do the same in the turquoise colour for the other shoulder. Just make sure it's pushed on nice and tight against the top of her outfit. I'm just adding a darker patch of turquoise now around her waist as well. So we've got her body done and ready. Then for the head, start with a ball in the blue colour. We're going to push our fingers in for little eye sockets. And then just gently pinch down to try and create a little nose out of the face. And I'm just going to score quite a long mouth in, quite near the bottom. Put some stitch lines across it. And then we'll work out where else she wants little stitch lines. Just push those in with our modelling tool. And I'm going to squish a ball of white into each eye. Just going to press it down till it becomes as wide as I want them to be. Just give them a little nudge just underneath, just to make them slightly less rounded. And then I'm going to put a ball of black in the centre of each eye. Oh, if it sticks to my modelling tool. We've got a little piece of red modelling paste for the lips. So I've pushed that on in the centre of the mouth. It's only quite small compared to the mouth. I'm going to put a little line through the middle of it. And then just tuck up those corners at either side into that sort of stitching line that we originally put on. And then I'm just going to try and shape the top of the mouth just a little bit so we get a bit of a cupid's bow in there. And then we're going to do a bit of painting. Now this modelling paste is full of cocoa butter, so it's very difficult to paint on. I've just got a little bit of powdered dust mixed with some alcohol. I'm going to paint on the eyelashes. And then I'm also going to sort of water it down a little bit more so it's not too dark. And run that between all the little lines where her stitching is. So side of her mouth and across the face. I'm going to do the same now in all the stitching across her body and dress. Make sure you've got a nice fine point on your paintbrush for it. And then we can start adding a bit of patterning to the dress itself. So we'll put some polka dots on this bit here. Some stripes on this bit. And if you prefer not to paint them on, you can stick these on in modelling paste. Just thought it would be a little bit quicker to paint them on. Some on the sleeves. Swirls on this bit here. Keep referring back to a picture of the character that you're making so that you can tell what should go where on it. I'm just going to pop her head on. Just make sure you don't have loads of food colour left on your fingers like I do, because it will come off onto the head. This time my modelling paste I've just dyed in a deep orange. I've rolled it out. It's not quite a rectangle, not quite an oval. It's just a very rough shape. And then I'm going to push in dints or lines on either side for her hair. I'm going to use some edible glue, or you can use piping gel, which is nice and sticky. So I've put that kind of in the middle of the orange piece of hair, and we're going to push it on the back of the head and kind of against her back, and then try and pinch it at the top where it comes above her head. I'm just going to trim that extra bit off there. Give it a little push down with your fingers. Now, you don't want the hair to be too heavy, otherwise it will push down on the figure and she'll lose her neck because it'll sink into her head. So just watch we don't put too much on. And then we'll give her a little pumpkin. So I've got some hair colour left over. I've added a tiny bit of white modelling paste to her. So we've made a ball, and then all I've done is just put some indents across the side so it looks a bit more pumpkin-like. Play around with that till you're happy. And there she is, all finished. Don't forget you can find the gravestone along with the Jack Skellington video on my YouTube channel to watch as well. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.